Good evening, everybody. We're going to start for real this time. First, we want to thank the library for hosting this town hall for us. The library usually closes at 6, so this was a really big stretch for them, and we really appreciate it. Thank you for choosing to spend your Monday night talking about the important issues of the fiscal status of the city. We want to start with the mayor, Mr. Ed Lee.
Thank you, Misha. Good evening, everyone. My name's Ed Lee. I'm your mayor. And yes, I am taller than you thought. Anyway, my pleasure to be here. Tonight, we have the 6th in 7 budget town halls throughout the city. We've been holding them all around the whole city to give you an important part of inputting into what we're thinking about how we balance the budget. And let me be very candid with you. This city is on its way to economic recovery. But we want everybody to be involved in that recovery. And so I am glad to be joining Supervisor London Breed, representing District 5, and Supervisor Jane Kim of District 6, and then, of course, Supervisor Mark Farrell, who's the chair of the Budget Committee for the Board of Supervisors this year. We're all working hard to make sure that all the revenues are appropriately spent, but that we do the budget as we've always done in many years, that it is a reflection of the values of what this great city is all about. And that means that we try to anticipate and listen very carefully to what the community says is important to you. Kate Howard, our budget director, is going to go through some outlines of what the budget represents, but the bulk of tonight's meeting is listening carefully to what you have to say, because this is how our minds get impacted about what we think the priorities are. And we're holding these hearings all around the whole city. I want to add my thanks to Luis Herrera and the library for offering their site tonight, but I also want to give the biggest thanks to all of you coming out on Monday night to present us with your priorities. I know there's a lot of kids in the room, so I can anticipate that they really want to make sure we're a child and a family-friendly city. We also need to be a safe city. Also need the economics of the city to be sound, but most importantly, to be successful for everyone. Many of you came to this city by different ways. You were born here, you maybe immigrated here, maybe you came from other cities. What I do believe in is that when you have decided to live in this wonderful city, that you also want to be part of a successful city. And that means that anything that you do should also be reflective of a welcoming of the city for the things that you believe in. So we're going to get going very quickly. I want to thank the department heads that are behind me. We'll introduce them a little later, but we want to give the bulk of this time to all of you. And again, I want to also thank the Office of Civic Engagement, our community ambassadors. We hired them from all the different communities in San Francisco. They're here tonight to help people whose English may not be their first language, but they also have a right to make sure that they communicate with their city government to tell us what is the most and the highest priority. This is important to us. Last year and the years in the past since I've been mayor, we've listened carefully and we've had a more sensitive budget as a result. And that's your part, letting us know how important this is. So with that, let me turn this over to Supervisor London Breed, representing District 5.
Hi, everybody. I'll be brief. Just like the mayor, I care about how we allocate our resources. This is perhaps one of the most important times and one of the most important things that we do as members of the board, as members of the city family, and that is look at what's most important to allocate our revenues to, the type of programs that are needed here in our city. And in particular, I want to highlight just a few things that I'm going to be paying very close attention to. The Department of Children, Youth, and Family has told us that the population in District 5, for example, of children has decreased, and therefore the amount of funding that has been given to District 5 has decreased more than in any other district. I have some real concerns about that. I have some real concerns about making sure that we have quality programs, and it can't just be about the number of children served, but the quality of the children that are served. Our transitional age youth, our at-risk populations, the kinds of things that we deal with in District 5, the reason we are experiencing a decrease in our homicide rate, a decrease in the number of kids who are not graduating from high school is because of all of the great work of many of the service providers in our district. So it's an issue that I care about, an issue that I'm going to be paying very close attention to, in addition to the young people who are homeless in the Haight. I think that we as a city have to look at that issue because the numbers of young folks, and when I say young folks, I mean young folks who are over the age of 18, who are homeless, who have ran away because of abusive situations maybe at home or for whatever reasons ends up in San Francisco. And so we have to look at making sure that we're allocating resources in order to address that issue as well. And one of the other things that I've made it clear from the onset is that public housing is a priority for me, and I'm so thankful to Mayor Ed Lee for making public housing his priority as well. We are working really hard to deal with this issue. The issues of public housing is not an overnight problem, so it won't be an overnight solution. What's most important to me are the residents of public housing, are the people of San Francisco, and the people that these conditions impact, so that's going to be a real priority for me. And finally, one of the things that we continue to neglect, I think, in our city in certain ways is just our vulnerable population, our senior citizen population. I've watched as there's been an increase in dementia and other issues of memory loss in our population where seniors are being taken advantage of, and we have to make sure that we do everything we can to protect our most vulnerable population. And so I'm really excited to be here today. I'm more excited to hear what you have to say, and I want to thank you all for being here and being actively engaged in this great process. And now I want to turn it over to the budget chair for the San Francisco Board of Supervisors, Mark Farrell.
Thank you, Supervisor Breed. Don't we have a great new colleague in Supervisor Breed representing District 5, everyone? So my name is Mark Farrell. I am the supervisor for District 2, and this year I am serving as the chair of our Budget and Finance Committee at the Board of Supervisors. I just want to, tonight is about you. Tonight's listening to you. As Mayor Lee mentioned, we're doing these town halls throughout San Francisco. We're going to wrap up this Saturday after having done 6 in the district, 1 on the internet. And it's important to hear feedback from your concerns and your priorities in the community. What I will commit, as I've done every town hall, is to say, from my perspective as chair of the committee, I will commit 3 things. Number 1, to have a very open and transparent process. We have budget meetings every Wednesday, 10 o'clock and 1 o'clock in City Hall. Come on down if you want to see them. And please make sure your voices are being heard. Number 2, we're going to manage our finances in a very responsible manner. As Mayor Lee mentioned, we are recovering as a city. We want everyone to share in that recovery, but we also want to make sure we plan for our children's future as well, especially seeing so many kids around here. And lastly, we will make sure that our budget reflects the priorities of all of San Francisco. This is a city of such incredible diversity, and we want to make sure that everyone, as Mayor Lee said, shares in our success and also our future. So I commit to you that as budget chair. I'll talk later about the budget process, but tonight's about hearing from you, so thank you all for coming tonight.
We have one last person who'd like to speak with us. That's the fire chief, Chief Joanne Hayes-White.
Hi there, everyone. Good evening. Joanne Hayes-White, Fire Chief. I'm just a little concerned about the number of people in the room. And it's all about safety. So there are some seats that are available, so I would encourage everyone to sit in a seat. And technically, if you don't have a seat, we're overcrowded. I'm told there is an overflow room with a video camera set up, and I would encourage those of you that cannot find a seat to avail yourselves of that, although I hear that's getting crowded too. We might be able to make an exception with a few people in the back, but I'm a mom of 3 kids, and I love kids, and right here is really making me concerned because that's one of the other exits, and the exit is blocked. So I haven't even talked to Mr. Mayor about this, but this is what I do. And if we could get some people to help and see if you can get some people to go into the overflow room. It's not safe right now. And so I just want people to be mindful of that. We want to hear from everyone, obviously, and we'll work with the library, but I'm feeling a little conflicted right now. So thank you.
So there are some empty seats down here in front. If folks want to move down, there's a couple here, 1s and 2s. We got 3, 4 right here in this little circle. Great idea. Raise your hand if there's an extra seat beside you, and if someone's in the back, come on down, take a seat.
So I'm now told that the overflow room is pretty much reaching capacity. Mayor had a great suggestion, and we love all the city employees that are here. But if you are a city employee and not representing one of the department heads, I might ask that you step out of the room to give the public the first choice of staying in the room. We'll work with everyone, but we're just a little too crowded. So thank you, this SFPD in the back. Thank you.
So welcome, everyone. Again, thank you for coming to spend your Monday with us in this way. We're going to get started. My name is Misha Olivas. I'm the Director of Programs with United Players. We're a violence prevention and leadership development program here in San Francisco. I'm born and raised in San Francisco, and I know what makes it great are its residents. So I really want to just, appreciate that everyone came out today. It's going to be a packed agenda, so everyone is not going to be able to speak. But when you checked in at the front, there were comment cards that were passed out. Please fill out a comment card, and some of them will be randomly selected to come and speak at the podium. Those ones that are not selected will be added to these posters in the back, and they will be shared with the supervisors. So even if you don't get to speak today, your voice will still be heard. To get started, I'm going to pass it over to the Mayor's Budget Director, Kate Howard. She's already ready to make a presentation to educate us about what's going on. Thank you.
Hi, everybody. I'm Kate Howard, the Mayor's Budget Director. Thank you all for being here tonight. I wanted to just let you all know that Supervisor Kim is stuck in the Land Use Committee. Oh, she's out of Land Use and she's on her way over. So Sunny's right here and is listening to everything that's happening until she gets here. So I thought I would just briefly share with you a little bit about San Francisco's budget. So we talk a lot about what is a budget, and really a budget is a plan. It's a plan for how we're going to spend all the money that comes into the city every year, and it's a plan that should reflect our city's priorities and values. It's also a law that the Board of Supervisors has to adopt every year, and so it's both the plan and it's the official authority to spend the money. So I thought I would do a quick overview of the city's budget. As you all know, San Francisco is a combined city and a county, so our budget is very large, significantly larger than most other cities in the state. It's about $7.4 billion every year. And we have to balance that budget for 2 years. So we're this year trying to balance both the fiscal 13-14 budget and the 14-15 budget. The chart in front of you shows you a little bit about what we spend all those $7.4 billion on every year. So you can see the majority of our spending every year is on public works, transportation, and commerce. But what you might not know is that that really comprises a lot of our enterprise departments. So it's not the general fund, which is what we spend a lot of our time thinking about how to balance. Instead, that's things like the MTA or the PUC or the airport or the port. We also spend about 14% on public protection, so that's things like police and fire, and about 20% on public health. Sometimes people ask me, where do we get our money? And the quick answer is from all of you, right? The taxpayers provide the resources to fund the city's services. But more specifically, we get about, in the general fund, which is about $3.5 billion, we get about a third of that every year from property taxes. We get another about 13% from business taxes. And we have a number of other local taxes, things like the sales tax or the hotel room tax. It's also important to remember that about 1 out of every $5 that San Francisco receives comes from either the state government or the federal government, which ultimately is all of us paying those taxes. But the reason that's important to know is that when the state government or the federal government makes a change, it has a really significant effect here on San Francisco, on the services that we're able to provide. Over the last few years, we've taken some really good steps to make our budget more financially sustainable, and one of the steps that we've taken is to look at a 5-year outlook for what do we project will happen in both our expenditures and our revenues. And so what you can see here is that over the next 5 years, so the light gray line on the right-hand side, that's showing you what our expenditure projections are looking like. And then the dark gray line on the left, that's the revenues. So essentially what that's showing is that over the next 5 years, our expenditures, we're projecting that they're going to grow by about 25%. On the other hand, our revenues are only projected to grow by 13%. They're growing, as the mayor mentioned, the economy's really starting to recover, and we're seeing that here in these projections, but there's still a gap between what we're projecting it's going to cost to run the city's government and how much money we think we're going to take in. Finally, I just wanted to share with you some of the information we have. As I mentioned at the beginning, balancing the budget is really about understanding the resources that are available and then thinking about how those resources fit together with the city's priorities. And that's what we're here to hear from all of you about. But one of the ways that we get information about what people really care about and what's kind of irking them is by the 311 system. And so in both districts, 5 and 6, the two most significant issues that come up in 311 are street cleaning and graffiti. And so certainly we want to hear from you if those are concerns, but we also want to hear about your other concerns, things that we might not hear about through 311. I also wanted to mention who you have up here listening today, and there's a lot of folks, and I don't know that you can even see all of them. But if we start from the far left in the back, we have the Juvenile Probation Departments, the Arts Commission, Department of Children, Youth, and Their Family. If you all want to stand up so you can see. Maybe the whole back row can stand, and I can just go down the line. Office of Economic and Workforce Development, the Department of Emergency Management, the San Francisco Public Housing Authority, Department of Building Inspection, Public Works, the School District, Department of the Environment, and our city librarian and host tonight, Luis Herrera. You guys can sit down. Next row. I feel like a choir director. So we have the Human Services Agency, we have the Aging and Adult Services Department, Child Support Services, I'm doing this from behind now, the Health Department, the Adult Probation Department, MTA, the Controller, and the Mayor's Office of Housing. And you guys can sit down. And then finally, up in the front row, we have the Planning Department, Recreation and Park, the City Administrator, our Supervisors, and the Police Department. You've already seen the Fire Chief. I also wanted to acknowledge the Mayor's Office of Disability, Carla Johnson, who's here. I know I saw the Director of Workforce Development in the back, and the Office of that's everybody. So without any further ado, I'm done, and let's hear from all of you. I think we may want to, that Supervisor Kim has a few things to say.
Good evening, and thank you. My apologies for being late. I was at Land Use Committee. We had lots of fun items to talk about that kept me there until 6 o'clock. I just want to say I'm so proud that we had such a great turnout at today's Budget Town Hall, and I was really I was horrified actually when I came in and so many families and individuals had to leave because they couldn't fit into the room today. But I think that really just goes to show how much our neighborhoods in District 5 and District 6 care so much about the city budget and the city process, but are also so aware and engaged in what it means to make our community the place that we all want to live in. I know I get 2 minutes in the beginning and 3 minutes at the end. I'm going to speak only for a minute today. I want to give up 4 minutes of my time for members of the public to speak so that we can have as much public comment as possible. You hear from me all the time, and I know so many of you so well. I know you can come talk to me anytime in my office hours, at my office. I want to thank my staff, Sunny Angulo, Ivy Lee, and Danny Yadigar, who have been involved in this process. But I want to make sure that this time is really here for you. Thank you all for being here.
Thank you. Thank you for that important information. Thank you for the introduction. So now we know who's in the room with us. I just want to remind everyone, please turn in a comment card. There's some folks along the edge here who will collect it for you so you don't have to run back out to the lobby. Also, there's translation available. So if you need translation services, they're out in the lobby as well. They're provided by the Mayor's Office of Neighborhood Services today. So we really want to thank them for that. We will now hear from some constituent groups from District 5 and 6, some short presentations about what's going on in the community, and then we will open it up to the public comment. So again, I just want to remind everyone, there's so many people in the room, and that's such a great thing, but we won't be able to hear from everyone. We will be drawing cards randomly, and those cards that aren't drawn will be sent to the supervisors so that they still hear your comment and get your feedback. So first, I'd like to call Colleen Rebecca from St. Anthony's.
Hello? Okay. All right. Now we're cooking with gas. Okay. Hi, everyone. I'm Colleen Rebecca, and I actually have 2 jobs. Most people know me from my work at St. Anthony's, but today, at the request of Supervisor Breed, and thank you, Supervisor Breed, I'm here to talk on behalf of Homeless Youth Alliance, which is the other place that I work. Homeless Youth Alliance provides drop-in support, psychological services, substance abuse treatment services, access with some of the most basic services that people need to survive and function, like showers, bathrooms, and food, to homeless youth who are homeless in the Haight. And I'm here to talk a little bit about homeless youth, and I'm also here to talk about reductions that are proposed by our Department of Public Health, specifically to community behavioral health programs. So I want to talk a little bit about just who the homeless people in the Haight are, and who it is that we see at Homeless Youth Alliance. The average age that one of our youth has when they leave home is 13 years old. So we're talking about youth from age 13 to 29 who have left home because of abuse, neglect, trauma, violence, and are now homeless, living on the streets, and many of them are spending most of their time in the Haight. We have, we see in District 5, when we look at the cuts that have been proposed to Department of Public Health, we see cuts proposed to substance abuse treatment, mental health, supportive services, and supportive housing. Services that affect homeless and formerly homeless people because they are services that help to keep people off the streets and to help to keep people housed who have found help with supportive housing. We want to also say that for the people who are homeless in our district, homeless youth in the Haight, oftentimes they don't fit into traditional types of programs, traditional types of mental health programs. And they may fail in those programs, or they may not meet the program requirements. And so we need services that are specifically tailored. If we don't have those, we're going to see more street homelessness. We're going to see more criminal justice intervention with homeless people, more emergency room visits, and more psych emergency requests for youth who are homeless. So cutting these type of services means more money in the long run and more suffering. Thanks.
Thank you, Colleen. I'm sorry I sent you the wrong way. Next, we'll hear from Cheryl Davis with Mo Magic.
So I'm really grateful for this opportunity. I'm going to read from my notes, sorry, because I want to try and get to as much as possible. The Western Addition District 5 has presented a joint advocacy platform and developed a shared vision for the district centered around youth and public safety and public housing. We would like the city and departments work together in the same way that they encourage service providers in the community to come together. We'd like to see the departments talk to each other and work with each other as well. In 2011, the Mayor's Office of Housing actually convened a group of meetings and had some key findings, and in my opinion, some of the needs and things that were identified during that weren't respected or considered during some of the recent funding. I'm going to read some of those findings, but I also just wanted to say that, you know, when we go through this and we talk about the children and youth leaving, I'd like to know, especially around DCYF, you say that and you talk about when the RFPs came out, they were by zip code. 94115 doesn't just have District 5, it also has the Marina, Cow Hollow, Pacific Heights. So when you talk about need and you have all those communities together, how do you actually know where the need is? And programs like the Village Project, Community Grows, Booker T, that serve hundreds of youth and deal with public housing students and youth, if they're not being funded, then we have true concerns about what's going to happen. We've been working with the police department. We've been working with the school districts. We've been trying to identify needs and issues, and it seems like those aren't being considered. The American Pediatrics talked about children living in public housing, that if they don't have services and support, then they're more inclined to be involved in negative activity, and most of the programs that have been cut were programs that serve that. So I just wanted to say, I will read before it's over, students from the 94115 zip code attending schools, SFUSD schools scored significantly lower proficiency rates in both English, language arts, and math than the district-wide. And there are tons of stats like that that talk about the Western Addition, that talk about 94115, and it seems like to me those weren't considered when the cuts were made. Similarly, around housing, a lot of our families have been displaced and are now homeless and are working with the Homeless Coalition. Thank you.
Thank you, Cheryl. Before we hear from our next speaker, I'd just like to let folks know that they set up a TV in the lobby right outside the door, so if you don't have a seat, you can go outside in the middle and get a seat there and be a little more comfortable. Our next speaker will be our Superstar Youth Commissioner for District 6, Christine Wen.
Good evening, Mayor, Supervisors, city members, and members of the community. Thank you so much for holding this and coming out on behalf of the community. I am Christine Wen, District 6 Youth Commissioner and advisory body to the board and the mayor of youth issues in San Francisco. And I'm also the Youth Commission's Community Outreach Officer and the chair of the Youth Employment Committee. I grew up in the Tenderloin and participated in various youth programs in District 6. And walking through the neighborhood, I've become desensitized to what has become our community norm. And much like my peers in District 6, as I hope most of you should know. However, I also have been fortunate enough to participate and be raised by these various youth programs and supportive adult mentors in my community. Being in these programs as a participant and becoming eventually a youth leader, I was able to see my peers and other youth grow and learn out of these challenges and barriers that they face, and graduating high school when everyone told them that they couldn't, overcoming barriers and triumphs in their community that I'm sure all of you have seen and have experienced or met these youth in the community. And District 6 is a high-need district, and yet we do have a very limited amount of resources. But these resources are so essential to the youth in our community, from transitional age youth to LGBTQ to Latino to English language learners, African American, any type of youth, disconnected youth, we rely on these community-based organizations, youth-serving programs in District 6. And so when I went out and outreached to my community, it was unanimous that most youth-serving organizations do want to work together and better provide these resources for youth, whether it's summer school programming or development or employment or housing. And okay, my time is running out. So in conclusion, it's very important that all of us come together to serve these youth, because youth are our priorities. And as a youth commissioner, I see that as a community, we do want to work together. And so let's do this.
Thank you, Christine. I told you she was a superstar. Next, we'll be hearing from Janice Stanfield about Health and Human Services budget cuts.
Good evening, Mayor Lee, Supervisor Breed and Kim, and everyone else joining us tonight. My name is Janice Stanfield, and I was born and raised in the Western Addition, District 5, and have seen a lot of loss of affordable housing, local businesses, and service providers dwindle away through the gentrification process. I have a pretty extensive speech here, so I'm going to try to get through this. Our neighborhoods are at a crucial juncture where dramatically rising rents, income loss, and real estate speculators have displaced our community members and put so many more at risk. District 6 is more impoverished than any other district in the city, with 40% of shelter residents on average being District 6 residents. District 6 has shouldered much of the health and human service reductions, the loss of half of our city's drop-in centers, a third of our shelter beds. You can walk on our streets and visually see the impact of over $70 million in direct service cuts that the Department of Public Health has absorbed over the past 5 years. We have before us this year over 25 million cuts by the time 2015 rolls around. Much of that is to substance abuse and mental health residential treatment, and even more of the reductions are to the outpatient treatment. Access and treatment is difficult at best. Additional reductions will mean more destroyed families, decreased public safety, severe health consequences, more lost lives, and more costs to all of San Francisco's. Studies in San Francisco and nationwide find again and again that it is less expensive to provide housing than to allow the homeless to remain on the streets. We need more affordable housing. We need more mental health services. We need access. Thank you.
Thank you, Janice. Thank you. Next, we'll have a Summer Jobs Plus testimonial from Lauren Needle.
Hi, everybody. I'm being joined up here by my partner, Tomas. I work with United Way of the Bay Area, and we're just here to tell you quickly about Summer Jobs Plus, which serves both Districts 5 and 6 and the whole city. Summer Jobs Plus is in its second year. It's a partnership between Mayor Lee and the City of San Francisco, all the departments that you see here, private employers, community organizations, and it's all about the success of our young people, helping young people get jobs and earn money, and also helping young people graduate high school, go on to college or other training, and have bright futures and bright careers. It's an honor for United Way to be part of this with the city. Last year, the mayor set the goal of 5,000 young people having jobs and opportunities, and the city and the employers and the community working together did better than that. We did 5,200, so the mayor said, good, we're doing 6,000 this summer. Yeah, it's exciting. We kicked this off on April 30th. We had over 800 jobs pledged by employers who care about young people in the city. We had over $300,000 in funding put forward by those employers for the program. And this past Saturday, if you managed to join us over at Moscone Center, a place where top companies from around the world come to have meetings, we had 800 young people join us at Moscone Center with the mayor, with a number of volunteers from your city government, including these departments, with a number of community volunteers. And we had a fantastic day where the young people got information. They got to learn how to interview for jobs. They got workshops on how to be successful in jobs. They got a lot of information about how to get hired for the summer. You can get more information by going to .org on the web or calling 211. But my main purpose tonight is to introduce this inspiring young man, Tomas Sheikh, who is a successful summer jobs participant from last summer. He worked at the Bohan Company. He did such a great job that they hired him permanently. He's still working with them, and he's at SF State earning his degree in computer engineering. This is what it's all about for the young people of San Francisco. Here's Tomas.
Thank you for that. Good morning, department heads. Good morning, supervisors, and Mayor Lee. Hello to all of you guys. And my name is Tomas Sheikh, as he said, and I just want to piggyback off quickly on what he said about the importance of youth employment. You see, the youth is our future, to sum it up, So we need to provide ample support and ample time and consistent effort, step-by-step basis to provide an opportunity for, whatever path we choose. And so to sum it up, I do have some time. So I worked with the Bohan Company, and I participated in the summer jobs internship last year. And with that, I was just exposed to so many opportunities. I got to work in the Embarcadero, got to suit up, was in the financial district, and got to really learn about all these real estate management, different strategies and stuff, and I was exposed to that. That's the main purpose. So what I want to say is that youth employment should be increased in San Francisco, and everybody should have an opportunity to be who they want and to provide a difference in the world. That's the end goal, and that's what I think of it. So thank you, Mayor Ed Lee, for striving and pledging for 6,000 jobs. My name is Tomas Sheikh. Have a great day.
I think we found our host for next year. So really quickly, we're going to get started with the public comment piece of the night. I just want to remind everyone, there's a lot of people here. Not everyone is going to be able to speak, so let's try and be respectful of one another. There will be people up at the mic. We may not all agree with each other, but we want to make sure that everyone who gets a chance is heard. If you can please just keep comments to a minimum. There's a 2-minute time period that you have. And Leo here will be holding up signs to remind you of what your time is. And like Supervisor Farrell said, there are budget committee meetings every Wednesday, so this is not the only time and place that you can give your input on the budget. So please, this is about being involved, and that's one thing that's awesome about San Francisco. Look at how many people are out here today. So this is not the only place that you can be involved, but remember to come and speak at the board chambers on Wednesdays. The chief has asked me to ask everyone who's sitting right here to please stand because it's blocking the aisle. She said you're welcome to stay there, but if you could please just stand, then that would make her feel better. So what I'm going to do is call the first 5 names. If I've called your name, come and line up here in the center aisle. We'll give a little time if folks are maybe in the overflow rooms. There are people back there who are going to run over and try and find them. But so the first name is Dan Nguyen Tan, Charity Ramillo, Carletta Jackson, Mark Connors, and Kyron Covington. If you could line up, those will be the first folks that we hear from in public comments. Yes, if you came with a group, your group can come and stand with you, but not everyone will have a chance to speak. Just the person who was called will have a chance to speak. You are first.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for this opportunity. We all love. Good afternoon. Good afternoon, everyone. Okay. Thank you so much for this opportunity. It's great to see all of our city officials, and we all love San Francisco, isn't that right? Yeah. Okay, my name is Carletta Jackson Lane, and I'm representing the African American Congress, which is a group in the community here that is trying very hard to organize our issues in the Western Addition. I wanted to state that I just came back from a national conference on the cost of violence, and it was with Mothers in Charge, which is a national organization. How many minutes we got? 2. Okay, so one. So the bottom line is that we need funding for the mothers who have lost their children to gun violence. We need extra funds for the victim witness program. We've been working with Chief Sir. I want to thank him so much for listening to us. And one thing that we noticed in Philadelphia, the DA's office, the police department, public defender, the investigator for the police department, the person who actually does it in the homicide division, as well as the officer on patrol, were meeting on a weekly basis to address the murders that were happening. And what it happens is that it gives an opportunity for there to be a unified effort in actually getting the community involved to actually solve some of these murders. And we just want to say that we are all citizens of San Francisco. We love San Francisco, and we want all of our children to be safe. And the last thing I wanted to say is I'm doing work with human trafficking. We have an issue around foster children being targeted to become actually in the sex trade, and they go in as young as 10 years old, and they're going through the schools. They go to the high schools and junior highs and recruit our children, and we need to get our babies. Thank you.
Hi, everybody. Can you hear me? Hi, everybody. My name is Mark Connors. I'm a resident of Treasure Island for more than 7 years now. I've been involved with my community almost since day one. The theme of my discussion is pretty much infrastructure. Treasure Island is a community in waiting. We are waiting for the development to begin so that our infrastructure issues can be resolved and so that we can develop the population density needed to support the variety of businesses and governmental entities that most of San Francisco is able to support. And yes, in case you're wondering, Treasure Island is a part of San Francisco. In addition to the need for greater access to health care and youth, there are a number of issues that face us. One is cell phone reception. We take it for granted over here in the city, but there are many parts in Treasure Island where you cannot get a signal. This can impact us on a number of levels, which, let me turn the page, so that in an emergency, in a disaster, or when reporting crime, it puts us at risk. Our electrical system is aging and is prone to outages, and while PUC has done a wonderful job at improving maintenance on that system, we still have blackouts and disruptions in service that most of you would find unacceptable. Besides being inconvenient, this increases our risk of crime for medical emergencies, accidents, and damage that the blackout does to our electronic equipment. Our free Wi-Fi that was established out there multiple years ago simply doesn't work very well. We have a large portion of the population that is low income that could benefit from this service, but to date it's weak and unreliable. Our roads need repair, and the units we live in are aging, and if we're going to be out there for another 10 years, we need to have them repaired. Overall, the blight and negative impact of having multiple units being vacant is taking its toll on us. There's so much more I could say, but I'm out of time. Thank you.
Hi, good evening. First, my name is Charity Romillo, and I have a parent also on behalf. I wanted to acknowledge all the FEC Galing Bata staff and families that are here in our communities of District 6.
Hello, my name is Keith Battle. I'm a parent of a child at Bessie Carmichael who participates in the Galing Bata after-school program, which is under the umbrella of YMCA. And I just recently found out that the budget was going to be cut by about $44,000, and I'm coming to just bring that to your attention. For those that are not familiar with Galing Bata, it is the only Filipino-English bilingual after-school program of its kind in San Francisco, if not in the state, if not in the entire country. And I've had my son in this program for 3 years now, and we have fought tooth and nail every single year to retain funding, let alone to even think about expanding the program and deepening the really incredible impact that the staff that's represented here has with these young people. And I really would ask you to take a very serious look at the program and consider restoring the funds that have been cut. Thank you.
Hello, board, mayor. Thank you guys for being here, and I just wanted to start off My name is Kyron Covington. I'm District 5 representative on the Youth Commission, and I just want to talk about Summer Jobs Plus and how like it will affect our city and the 6,000 positions that are available for our youth, and just if implemented correctly, it will really benefit the youth in my district and youth around the whole city, because the youth really need jobs. And I know I need a job going to college, and I know the disconnected youth and the homeless youth, we really need these services. So I really want to stress that. And an issue that I'm personally feeling about is gentrification around the whole city. If you guys are working around that, like I would please encourage to get more funding into like public housing and just preventing gentrification in the whole city. And I implore any youth or city members to come to Youth Commission and come to our meetings, because we are youth who are just trying to make a difference. So really come and support us, and we'll support you as youth. Yeah.
Thank you so much. Dan Nguyen Tan, is he close? I'm going to call a few more names. You can go ahead and line up in the front. Beatriz Montenegro, Adrian Williams, Crystal Gallegos Laver, I think. I apologize if I don't pronounce your name correctly. Randall Evans, J.D. Francis, Brian Sang, and Celeste Rivera. If you can line up in the front.
Good evening, guys. My name is Adrian. Good evening. I'm sorry, guys. Sir. Good evening. I'm Adrian Williams. I'm the executive director of the Village Project, and I'm going to read this so that I can get it all in. But for the past 8 years, the Village Project has diligently supported youth families and businesses of the Western Addition and the city of San Francisco. We have served the children, predominantly living in public and subsidized housing, with an after-school program and a summer enrichment camp. We have provided services to hundreds of kids and their families over our 8 years, most with the support of collaboration and with the help of volunteers. Additionally, we have helped to feed the communities hungry, striving to strengthen our families and communities along with increasing foot traffic for the Fillmore corridor. We also produce 4 community family events each year, a 7-day Kwanzaa program, Mardi Gras San Francisco style Fat Tuesday in the Fillmore, a senior moment, a senior prom for the 50 plus, and we'll have an upcoming barbecue to kick off the summer. Last summer, we received funding from DCYF to support our summer enrichment camp. Though the funding was small, it greatly impacted our program, allowing us to give over 45 kids a safe summer of positive and fun activities, including literacy and math sessions. We tapped, we did African dancing. The babies went on field trips. And though we have survived for 8 years without funding, it sure did feel good. And you guys took it back, so I'm asking you guys to give it back. So we can have at least 1 more year of funding. I love you guys. I love you. Thank you.
My name is Randall Evans. I was born and raised in San Francisco, all over. My family go back 114 years. But if there was anything to get started here, there should have been a special order of the day around the concerns of the state of emergency for black people in San Francisco. It is a real serious era we're dealing with, when black folks are not being represented, we're being out-migrated. And then when you get a shot in the arm, when the mayor fires someone as a statute, as someone in NAACP that's at a commission level and things of that nature, it's time for us as black folks to go into the room and speak about our business. See, and I'm not talking about y'all folks, I'm about our folks. Our folks, we are a little bit behind in what we need to be doing out here. You can put 19 of us in the same room until we start talking, we don't even know who we are. And that's serious. We're in shelters. We got concerns. And I believe right now, if you got a supervisor that made a good move to become the supervisor, then there should be a committee put up under London Breathe that has to do with the people's voice. As our community, this is something that's far and more deeper than just the homeless problem. I'm also concerned about District 6 because the 10-line area have put all my brothers, including myself, from when I used to live in good housing down to just SRO units and sometimes in shelters, you know. And it's not a crime to be into that. The problem is that you're not listening to the people from the grassroots. And I'm not ashamed to say it. Right now in San Francisco, the black community is in a state of emergency because we have no decent black leadership. That's not to say that the people that are involved or that are being held with this responsibility are not diligent enough to want to be a part of it. The sad thing is that you have so many different people coming from different shapes and forms that look like us that want to get in the office, but when they're through, they just want to be a consultant. We need to be talking about what's happening down here on the ground, and if you're going to be serious, then you're going to have to listen to the people's voice. That's important.
Thank you. I just want to remind everyone that even if your card is not called, your comments are going to make it to the supervisors. They're going to make it to the people up here on the stage. And the mayor is taking notes. He's writing small, so I can't read him, but he is up here taking notes. And the people that we're calling, when you filled in your comment card, you wrote whether you were from District 5 or District 6, and so we've been alternating District 5, District 6, but I will make that more clear in the next round. Thank you.
My name is Brian Sang. I'm a volunteer community organizer with the Physicians Organizing Committee. I'm also a resident of District 5. We're here also with representatives of SF Cares, National Alliance on Mental Illness SF, the Good Neighbors Coalition San Francisco, the SF Mental Health Board, among others. We're here to ask the mayor if he could speak directly to the California Pacific Medical Center rebuild. They're building a now 304-bed hospital at Cathedral Hill and a 120-bed hospital at the new St. Luke's, which we see as a community victory. However, there's still no mention of any mental health beds, not a single psychiatric inpatient bed or other psych facility for the CPMC rebuild. And we're very concerned about that. We understand what it means for people in our community, what it means for fire and police and other emergency personnel. Sutter Health, as a quote-unquote nonprofit, gets $100 million a year at least in nonprofit tax breaks. That's money that the city doesn't get, that everybody here gets to pay, while they are the most profitable quote-unquote nonprofit hospital corporation in the city. They charge 38% higher rates above average, and that's also money that our city is spending on care for city workers who get to benefit and go to CPMC. Supervisor Jane Kim has done a great job advocating for mental health in this new project, and we thank her. And if the mayor, the staff, the planning department, public health could please speak to that. We have two doctors with us here today who I believe made it to the overflow room, but $100 million is a lot of money, especially when that care is being dumped or abandoned to the rest of the community. And so if the mayor could speak to that, thank you very much.
Next speaker.
I'd like to give up my seat for one of the doctors. I'm the artist that brought a one-man show to the middle of the Tenderloin Hospital.
All right, Beatriz.
Hi, good afternoon. Hi, good afternoon. My name is Beatriz Montenegro, and it's a privilege to be able to stand here before you. I work with La Voz Latina, which is the only program that addresses the specific needs of the ever-growing Latino population in the Tenderloin. These are two of the youth in my Tenderloin Youth Leadership Program, Yesenia Pozo and Keith Williams. It's a great program that just started in September. I don't know if many of you know this, but there are no high schools in the Tenderloin, so all of our youth that live in the Tenderloin are bussed out sometimes for an hour and a half every day each way in order to go to school. You know, they have high school students that are the same age that live next door that they sometimes don't even get to know. So that makes it difficult to build community within the Tenderloin. And the program is very wonderful. However, we're very understaffed. It's a program of one, me. So it's difficult when you have such low capacity, staff capacity, and you have these great youth that want to do everything, and to be able to fundraise, to be able to do leadership development, and we do community service out there. The kids are out there every month cleaning, and not just myself, but every other youth service provider in District 6, United Players, Vietnamese Youth Leadership Development Center, the YMCA, the Boys and Girls Club. They're all great programs that unfortunately are very underfunded, and that we just really need you to focus more on the youth because they are the future, definitely. And also this year we do know that nobody in District 6 in the Tenderloin, nobody got the Youth Empowerment Grant, and that's also something that could be very helpful for myself and for students like Yesenia and like Keith that would be able to benefit from that. Also, we need more summer programming. Summer is a very critical time for youth. A lot of parents in the Tenderloin, we don't have money to pay for childcare just because the kids are on summer break. We still have to go to work, and we definitely need positive things for the students to be involved in. Thank you for your time.
Hello. Dear community collaborators, family, and friends of the Central YMCA. We are the CU Link Central YMCA youth, staff, parents, and friends from the Tenderloin District 6. We are here today to share what we do at our program and why your support is needed. We reach out to the youth within our district and the surrounding neighborhoods to provide them with valuable services to develop them into productive members of society. We are the youth and teen facility providing programs in sports, art, mentorship, homework assistance, tutoring, life skills, music, entrepreneurship, environmental awareness studies, culinary arts, youth leaderships, outdoor activities, and exercise for healthy living. We teach our youth that they are valuable contributors to our community, and they live in, and they are our future leaders. Many of the youth that attend our facility come from families that reside from a local family shelter and are underprivileged homes. Sometimes we are the only relief that the youth have. We are an avenue for their self-expressions and their self-improvement. In our Y Project music program, we can fully produce their own music, create their own lyrics, edit their own work, and videotape and learn the ins and outs of a full engineering studio. They can learn to work together as a team. In our culinary arts program, we are taught to prepare healthy meals, provide those meals to their peers each evening while learning to educate their families on the importance of healthy eating and living. Despite all the measurable success, our budget has been cut over the past 3 years. Just recently, we lost our summer program. That means that our youth will not have a great place to have continued education and fun over the summer. The San Francisco Department of Children, Youth, and Their Families, DCYF, has recognized us as a top 10 best practices for youth programs in the city. Our average attendance last summer was 60 youth per day. That means that at least 60 youth will be without a great place close to their home to spend their time over the summer. Thank you.
If the next speaker, if you want to come down this way.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Cristal Gallegos. I run La Voz Latina. My colleague just spoke of our program. We're the only family resource center dedicated to primarily working with Latino immigrant communities in the Tenderloin neighborhood, which has the highest concentration of children in the entire city. I wanted some of our moms here to kind of talk to you about their thoughts.
Buenas tardes. Lo que queremos nosotros pedirles es que no nos quiten los fondos para los niños.
Good evening. My name is Patricia. We're here to please ask that you don't cut funds from already scarce youth funding.
Buenas noches, mi nombre es Norma Carrera y solo estoy aquí en representación de todas las familias que vivimos en el Tenderloin, familias con niños que estamos necesitando programas y programas también para niños pequeños de edad de 0 a 5 años y hasta 18 a 21 años.
My name is Norma Carrera. I'm a longtime Tenderloin resident. I have family. We have raised my family here in the Tenderloin, and I'm here to please advocate on behalf of all youth services in the neighborhood. We need all programs that we can get from 0 to 18 and beyond.
Hola, mi nombre es Cecilia y yo tengo 3 adolescentes y en el Tenderloin hay muchos jóvenes y niños que necesitan de los programas. Por favor, no los corten. Gracias.
Good evening. My name is Cecilia. I have 3 young men who I've raised here in the Tenderloin, and they've all used Tenderloin services and benefited from them, and it's really important that you save them. Please don't cut any programs. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Celeste Rivera. I'm 15 and I go to June Jordan School for Equity. And I'm here representing Oasis for Girls. We're a youth service program, and Oasis impacted me by helping me liberate myself from systems of oppression. Girls get oppressed every day by media, and this program helped me by liberating myself and finding myself. And all of these ladies here, we're all a family. Like, without this program, I don't think I would ever have girlfriends, because girls can be so mean. This is a safe space for girls to support each other and build skills to realize dreams. And we learn a lot of different things, like healthy things, to help us, like safe sex and safe relationships. And we also learn self-defense too, so we can be stronger women.
Is there another person in line?
There's some seats here in the front. I think some folks have left, so if somebody standing or out in the overflow would like to come and take a seat, there are some seats in the front. I'm going to call the next 5 people, and this will probably be our last 5 group, but Amber Carroll from District 5, B-Top, if one representative from B-Top could speak. I think I missed the name here, sorry. Greg Stadmeyer, Cindy Giori, Rocky, and Glenda Hope. So I'm sorry, Amber Carroll from District 5, B-Top from District 6, Gary Stadmeyer from District 5, Cindy Giori from District 6, Rocky from District 5, and Glenda Hope from District 6. And again, if you haven't filled out a comment card, please fill out a comment card. Those comments will make it to the supervisors and the department heads, so even if you don't get a chance to speak today, your comments will be heard.
Okay, supervisors, mayor, welcome. Thanks for having us here today. My name's Dave Canego, and I'm representing District 6. I'm here to talk about seniors. First thing I want you to know is that San Francisco has the highest percentage of seniors than any other county in California. My second statement is I want to thank the chief for his fine work with street safety. I know when we called the former captain, Garrity, he would make sure that the safe passages for kids and for seniors, so I want to thank you for that. I have 2 points I want to bring up. One is about seniors and housing. I think Colleen from St. Anthony's talked earlier about supportive housing. A lot of public health department cuts affect seniors that are borderline in public housing, and I wish those cuts would be restored. My other piece is about the .com group on Market Street and all of the senior computer centers that are in the neighborhood. If we could marry those two, if we could marry the .comers to come over and work and train our seniors, and I think there's a big group in the back, that would be a big benefit for everybody. So thank you for your time. Thank you for your hard work.
Good evening, Mayor Lee, supervisors, and all the heads from the departments.
Let's be respectful of the gentleman speaking right now and let him have the floor.
Gracias. Mi nombre es Samuel Guía, yo soy un residente del distrito número 5, London Bridge. Le escuché hablar, muchas gracias por sus comentarios acerca de los problemas en la comunidad. Supervisor Jane Kim, yo trabajo en el Tenderloin como entrenador de personas con disabilidad mental y homelessness y gente que está sin vivienda. Y quiero recalcar algo muy importante. Muchos de los ciudadanos de esta ciudad que viven y trabajan en el distrito 5 y 6 están en condiciones mentales terriblemente afectados, que muchos de ellos no han podido venir esta noche porque no tienen qué comer, porque no tienen dónde dormir y porque sobre todo no tienen acceso a los servicios necesarios. Es muy importante que estas personas tengan acceso, es muy importante que estas personas tengan servicios médicos y es muy importante que estas personas puedan entrar al Internet, porque si no entran al Internet se van a quedar fuera de la comunidad. Es muy importante que se le preste atención a las necesidades de más computadoras por los próximos 2 años en el proyecto que se va a seguir de BTAP, DAS. Please keep us connected. We need the money desperately. Gracias.
Reverend Glenda Hope, San Francisco Network Ministries. I've been working in the Tenderloin for the past 40 years. In part, what we do now is to operate the Tenderloin Technology Lab in cooperation with the St. Anthony Foundation. And I want to speak on behalf of the Keep Us Connected campaign. We are very aware of how many thousands of frail elderly and disabled people there are in the Tenderloin, but also throughout the city. This is a very vital campaign that would help them reduce their isolation, the depression that can occur with that, and would help them to find the resources they need in order to stay healthy. I also want to speak on behalf of an increase in funding for mental health treatment programs and for substance abuse treatment programs. Network Ministries for the past 15 years has run a residential program, Safe House, for homeless women who are trying to get out of prostitution. We are seriously concerned about the lack of mental health treatment, detox treatment, and substance abuse treatment available to these women, all of whom have been homeless before they came to us. To reduce these programs of mental health and substance abuse treatment is not only inhumane, which is the worst part of it, but it's also not even cost effective. And I would underscore our concern that CPMC is not including the kind of psychiatric help that they should have. Our Safe House is in another part of the city. I myself actually live in District 11, and we are very concerned, particularly about the complete elimination of a psychiatric unit in St. Luke's Hospital. This must be restored.
Okay, so Misha says we have 5 more speakers, 5 more. So if your name was called.
Well, it's a little confusing because you just said B-Top, and we're B-Top. So there are a lot of seniors in the room, but there are a lot of seniors who are not in the room because they're on walkers, because they couldn't get here. But it's really important to know that $9 million was funded for 19 labs all over the city for seniors and persons of disability. And that resource has been given to the city of San Francisco, and now it's up to the city of San Francisco to help us maintain the tutors and the volunteers to keep those labs functioning. If a computer breaks in a senior center, there'll be no funds to fix it unless our city helps support that. So these computers, as one of our tutors said right here, just envision yourselves without any technology, because the seniors of the Tenderloin, their technology is in that senior center with that BTOP lab. Thank you.
Your name was called. Next speaker.
Hi, I'm Cindy Giori, and I'm the Executive Director of Hyde Street Community Services, better known as the Tenderloin Outpatient Clinic, and boy, have I had a hard day. We might be ground zero when it comes to mental health and substance abuse services here in San Francisco, and yet year after friggin' year, I come to fight for our budget, because the clients that we see are the homeless and the indigent. And those are the ones that are supported, their services are supported by general fund dollars. And every year I have to fight to get those funds restored. Not only that, I'm a CBO, which means over the past 3 years we've had to absorb most of the costs of doing business, the increases to health care for my staff. I've cut 2 positions in the last 3 years. At the same time, the total number of clients that are active right now have increased from 626 to 701. I have fewer staff to see more people because the need doesn't go away. I'm going to face those same cuts this year. I'm going to have to eliminate 2 more positions, and at some point this becomes unsupportable. I need those services. Anybody who thinks that the Tenderloin needs fewer mental health services needs to come down and avail themselves. I'd like to personally invite Supervisor Kim to come down and visit our program. Every year we get exceptional ratings on all of our services, and every friggin' year I'm down here fighting for my budget. And would you please do something to stop this? I'm getting too old for this. Thank you.
Hello, everybody. My name is Amber Carroll, and I'm here representing the Aging and Disability Resource Center of Episcopal Community Services. Thank you. Also here representing Cannon Kipp Senior Center, of which we're a part. And I'd like to invite everyone up from Cannon Kipp. I know there's a lot of people in the audience who utilize Cannon Kipp services. Thank you. I'm going to hand it over because I'd like you to hear from some of the people who use our services.
Rick Reeser. In 2009, I was homeless, and I was at the sanctuary for 280 days. This is catty corner from Cannon Kipp, and I heard from acquaintances that how wonderful the food service was there. So on my 60th birthday, I brought my friend, my disabled friend, with me in tow, and we signed up for meals. But when I got there, I found out that there was a whole lot more to this community center than just meals. There's a whole community of people from all walks of life. And it is a community where they get together and they're dancing and they're doing exercises together and they're having parties together. And to be selfish, the computer lab is wonderful, and I don't want to see that cut. I knew that there was years ago there was 7 meals a week. Now then it was cut down to 6 meals a week, and now 5 meals a week. And so please don't cut it anymore.
Hello, good evening. My name is Antonio Amado Vaz. When I came to San Francisco back in 2007, one of the first places I went was ECS Chef's Program. And I think it's a great place. I use the services. I would like the mayor's office on budget to increase fund for them. They do great service for our city. They're going to be selfish, going to give time to someone else.
Actually, your 2 minutes are up, but thank you so much for everyone for coming. I know it's getting long. We're almost at the end of our program, but thank you everyone for coming out. We have 2 more speakers, Rocky and Reverend Woods.
Rocky, Reverend Woods.
Greetings. My name is Pastor Ronaldo Woods from Holy Missionary Baptist Church, and I'm the chairman of the New African American Congress. To this honorable elected group of loyal, dedicated servants, it gives me great pleasure and pride to introduce and present the New African American Congress. We believe that all people have the right to combat injustice wherever they find it, whether it be political bigotry, housing manipulation, job discrimination, or outward migration. The New African American Congress has dedicated its loyalty and commitment to serving citizens of San Francisco in a nonviolent and peaceful developmental change in the history. Our high value of integrity, morals, and commitment shall not be compromised. We pledge to help the indigent population of our city achieve equality and renewed hope through the engines of organizational strength and the power of collaborations. The New African American Congress is here to serve and stay. We are a collaborative of 15 different agencies, from Sunnydale to Bayview, to Dogpatch to Betrayal Hill, to the Mission, to the Western Addition, aka Fillmore, to Lakeview, Ingleside. Today you will hear some important concerns of the people by the people. We only wish, hope, and pray that you become proactive with the people. In closing, I would like to say that we endorse some of the great appointments that's ever been made. We believe in Rhonda Simmons and our elected official, London Breed. Here we engage our supervisors Breed to the open one, the one-stop center in the Western Addition as the operation to help the people find meaningful full employment. So the African American Congress is here. Thank you.
Rocky.
Excuse me. How you doing, London? I grew up with London Breed. She grew up right next door to me in the Out of Control Projects, the infamous Yerba Buena Plaza East, and it's such a pleasure to see her have come so far, you know, to take part in this city's government. It's really inspirational. I'm a life skills facilitator with the Inner City Adolescent Network, a case manager for the San Francisco Homeless Outreach Team, and a proud member of the New African American Congress. I've worked with at-risk youth for over 20 and homeless population for over 10 years. I've also worked with young and older adults, helping them re-enter society. As I've worked in both these fields, sadly, I've seen them overlap. By the way, I'm an original member of the Fillmore Out of Control gang. We have an inside joke among the Out of Control gang members, is that it was a youth program called Operation Contact. Most of the kids who grew up to become OC gang members were participants in the Operation Contact. When the program lost its funding, the 3 to 4 years it took to receive new funding, the 12-year-olds had grown to be 14 and 15-year-olds that packed guns. I'm not saying that this program would have stopped the rise of gangs in the Fillmore, but I know I began selling drugs because I had nothing else to do. I had nothing else to do, and everyone around me was doing the same thing. I remember literally being bored and feeling out of place. So I began selling drugs to fit in, to have something to do. I know with a program that tracks kids from 8 to 18, that gives kids a place to study, help studying, and something to do after school will make a tremendous impact on the violence in the community and improve countless lives. I feel the city of San Francisco can prove to be a model city for this type of program and being the first to implement it and fund it properly. We can start this program in the chosen section of the city. This is a long-term program that will show immediate results and substantial future results. I hope myself and the new African American Congress can present a pilot of this program to the city and county of San Francisco for financial support. But in the meantime, I urge the city to continue to fund the youth programs and reentry model programs already in place. Thank you.
Thank you so much. So that concludes the public comment portion of the evening. I just really want to thank everyone on stage, in the audience, in the overflow room, in the lobby, out on the street. As you can see, the city budget affects everyone from the youngest San Franciscan to the oldest, from the richest to the poorest, and it's important that we step to the plate and become a part of the process so that we can advocate for those things that we need. And again, if you filled out a card and you were not called, your comments will make it to the folks that need to hear it. The supervisors will be getting those comment cards, and I'm going to hand it over to Supervisor Farrell so he can let us know more about how we can be involved in the budget process. Thank you.
Thank you, and thank you all for coming out tonight. This has been an incredible night, and thank you. Please know that your comments are being heard. They're going to be taken into account, and for those of you who could not speak and filled out cards, please bring them up so we make sure we can read them as well. I just want to quickly go over the budget process for you and let you know the time frame here in City Hall. Basically, we're down to the last month and a half, 2 months. So over the next 2.5 weeks, the mayor, with Kate Howard as budget director, and all the department heads are going to be putting together the mayor's proposed budget to the Board of Supervisors. That budget will get submitted at the end of this month, and during the month of June, the Board of Supervisors is going to debate about the budget. We're going to have different departments up in front of our committee. Again, Wednesdays at 10 o'clock and 1 o'clock. Please feel free to join us if you'd like. And during the month of June, we're going to have those meetings, and we're going to have a hopefully fully baked budget by the end of June that will be voted on in July. So that's the process. We're in a short strokes right here. So if you have additional comments, want to be heard, again, please come on Wednesdays, 10 o'clock and 1 o'clock, let your voices be heard. Again, thank you all for being here, and I'm going to turn it over to the two supervisors, perhaps first from Supervisor London Breed here from District 5 to close it out.
Thank you. As Supervisor Farrell said, this is not the last opportunity, and I want to make sure that you have my email address, london.breed@sfgov.org. My aides are here from my office, Ahmed, Connor, and Valley, if you want to talk to them. I want to hear from the constituents in my district. I want to hear what matters most. This short time period is just only a sample of the larger problems that we have in the city, and I want to make sure that I am aware of those issues that you are experiencing on the front line. So please send us an email, call our office, and do whatever you think is necessary to make sure that our office hears what's going on, because we are going to be making some really challenging decisions this fiscal year, and I want to make sure that my district is not left out of the opportunities this budget cycle. So thank you so much, and again, I want to just emphasize how important public housing is to me, and it's great to see Tukey. Should I say your real name, Tukey? Okay, sorry. But it's great to see him here. We grew up in those conditions, and we know what it's like, and so we have to make some changes. And again, I want to thank the mayor for making Housing Authority his priority in the city. So thank you all so much for being here today.
Okay, well, I gave up my time, but I just want to thank everyone that came out. The mayor just asked me how many cards I had in my hand. Just the youth cards alone, we had 60 tonight. So that I'm really proud of everyone that came out today. You know, I tried the best that I could to pick from broad categories. We had a lot of youth and families. We had a lot of seniors. We had a lot of people here from DPH, from a broad section of cuts, whether it was mental health to HIV. We had a lot of folks here also that were here about homeless and shelter and drop-in center services. And then we had kind of, I called the other pile, which is just a myriad of other concerns, whether it was sidewalk cleaning with DPW to a range of others. Issues. But I did look through all the cards. I got a really good sense of who was here tonight. I just want to thank you for coming. We are all going to look at all of these, and there will be many more opportunities to participate with us through Budget Committee. I also hold office hours twice a month, as many of you know, because I've seen you at my office hours. Thank you for coming. But please continue to come over the next 2 months, and I want to make sure that we are advocating for the priorities for our district and our city together. Thank you.
Okay.
we're not going to close out the budget until we've read every single one of these cards. So just make sure you know that was worth your time to do it, because I'm going to make sure our staff looks at every one of these, because it's worth it. We should reflect and honor the time that you gave us tonight. I want to thank the Mayor's Office of Neighborhood Services. They worked really hard with the supervisor staff, put this all together. Christina, thank you very much. And tonight, you saw the cameras. We recorded this whole thing, so those of you that had the opportunity to speak, you're also on camera as well, and thank you for behaving. But we got a lot of work to do. Supervisors have a lot of work to do. We are going to work for you. Make sure this budget and this very, very city becomes and continues to be successful for every single one of you. So thank you again for coming out. Appreciate your time. Thank you.